Here with Brett Vernon, head coach, Homer Trojans coach. Another great year, another successful season, making the playoffs. Run into Lawton, who made a deep run last year and got themselves to Ford Field. Can you talk about your season last year, that loss, and how that's prepared your team in the offseason for this season?
Yeah, I don't think last year maybe ended the way that we had envisioned. I was hoping for a little bit more, and really that can go. Our first two games of the season it had a rough schedule, and then we got on a little bit of a roll. And our last three games we ended up losing, and it was obviously not where we wanted to be. You know, I wish we could have had the Reading game back, the Napoleon game back, and then that set us up for a first round matchup with Lawton, who I thought was just a high quality team. And that's obviously where we want to be at. And so as we were looking towards this year, what are the things that we needed to improve on? What are the things that we needed to do in order to make some damage in the playoffs? And that's kind of where we've been, striving to get to, doing the work in the weight room, speed work, all that stuff to get us to where we want to be.
One of your mottos, Coach, is shield, and you kind of carry that as a motto for your entire program. Can you talk about what that is and what that means for you and the program?
Sure. Great teams have great kids in them, and so that character education piece becomes huge. So we've been shield. This will be the fifth year that shield has kind of been our motto, and that's selfless hard work, integrity, enthusiasm, leadership, discipline, and we want all of our kids to embrace that and show those qualities, not just on the field but in the classroom, at home, within the community, building those next leaders in our community through the game of football.
Well, of all the teams we're talking to in here, you got great experience coming back. Let's start with the offense. You got 8 players coming back that are returning starters from last year of what was already a really good offensive team. You got to be really excited about what we should all expect to see Homer from offensively this season.
Yeah, I think it starts with the quarterback position. Davey Moan was a second-team All-Conference quarterback last year, and did it not just throwing the ball but running the ball as well. Really excited for his explosiveness and what he can do on the field. And then we got a handful of guys that we can put the ball in their hands and they can do some damage as well out on that offensive side of the ball. And then as I told you, a couple offensive linemen that need to be plugged in there, but they've had experience on the defensive side of the ball. They've had experience last year on getting reps on the offensive line. So I'm excited what we can do offensively.
And you bring back a really strong defense, and you got 9 players coming back to start on your defensive side. You have to have really high expectations defensively as well. What should we expect defensively from the Trojans?
Yeah, so the only two people that we lose are both our corners. Unfortunately, one of them was Tyson Garrett, who got in a car accident back I think in January, and he was a starting corner as a sophomore. And unfortunately, we were going to lose him just because of medical issues. But got some younger kids that can plug in there. Our biggest thing that we got to fix is being more physical on defense, and really that's going to start with our defensive line. And we got some returners there. We got both of our defensive tackles returning, and look forward to those big guys being physical inside there and stopping the run. And that's the number one thing you got to do as a quality high school football team. And that's what we're going to set out to do, is stop the run, and then everything happens from there.
The expectations to Homer are a little bit different. For a lot of teams, making the playoffs is the goal. That's no longer a goal at Homer. That's an expectation. But your goal is to do some damage in the playoffs and make a run. What does this team need to do the next 2 weeks in camp and throughout the season to accomplish that goal of making the playoffs and making a deep run?
I just want to see us really grind over these next 2 weeks as we get after it. Grind, put in the work, overcome those thoughts that creep into the head, like I want to quit, I want to take it easy. Learn to master that, so that when you're getting into the grind into a football game, you can overcome some of those things, and your effort and your physicality come through and win you some games.
Head coach Brett Vernon, him and the Trojans are going to start week 1 up at Ithaca. Very tough week 1 matchup for the Trojans, but then they're going to get right into Big 8 play. Fully expect this team to compete for a Big 8 championship. Coach, best of luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it, sir.